It's been reported the NHL's proposed draft lottery changes have been approved. We are locked in on the draft here, the three of us. So what are you hearing here, David? We need to know.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of a change this summer, whereas only 2 teams are allowed to, or effectively part of the lottery can win the lottery versus 3 that we typically see. So you're going to see 2 teams now in a position to win and move up in the standings, in the ranks, which also guarantees that the last place team can drop no worse than 3rd overall, which, at least for Buffalo, you're keeping an eye on that, keeps you into the top 3. As things move forward, next year and onward, you're going to be seeing slots kind of change. So you're only allowed to move up 10 positions starting next year's draft, 2022, versus now. So if you're drafting, 13th overall, the most you can move up to is 3rd. So it helps protect the teams at the bottom to stay within the top 3. And at the same time, if you win the draft lottery 2 out of 5 years, that's the max. You can't do it anymore. You're still part of the lottery, but you'll and you could technically win it, but that wouldn't be applied to you. So you would be able to only move back. You can't move forward, moving ahead. So you can only do it twice in a span of 5 years. That's to protect teams that are finishing lower in the standings.
Buffalo Sabres locked in on every word you just said. David Pagnotta, the editor-in-chief of the Fourth Period and doppelganger of Lin-Manuel Miranda. Appreciate the time, David.
You got it. Thanks so much.
All right, as we take a look at these drafted changes, again, for those who aren't aware, the three of us did spend the entire draft together, so fond memories, of course. Listen, the teams that struggled, they got mad in the past lots. They go, hang on a second, if I finish last, I should get the first pick. Then we change things up. We got balls in the air, etc. So this is maybe a move to try to help this now. So the draw is reduced from 3 to 2. The last place team cannot draft lower than number 3, i.e. protecting Buffalo. Starting in 2022, the maximum move up for a lottery winner limited to 10 spots, and no team can win the draft lottery more than twice in a 5-year period. A lot to chew on there, but what stands out to you?
What's old is new again.
Right. Let's go the other way.
Right? We changed it in 15-16 over 2 years. I thought that was appropriate. I actually feel this is appropriate, too. What happened last year is Detroit obviously had a historically poor year for them. Now, prior to that, Detroit had 25 years of excellence.
True.
Let's just call it what it was. Finally, in a salary cap world, it's even more difficult. Eventually, you're going to be down, and then you build back up, and that's the way the system is built. They really got penalized last year. They went from what should have been 1st to 4th. And just to put that in a real-world example, they drafted Lucas Raymond, and we never know where a team's going to pick. But I do know that the Detroit Red Wings really like Tim Stützle. That was kind of out there on the scouting trail.
Right.
And they would have been pretty darn happy if they had had these rules last year. It's in the past. We move on. I do like the changes. I really do. I think it's more reflective of fairness to all the teams. I don't see a ton of tanking.
That's the thing. You don't want to reward tanking, Reader. That's those who argue this. But to Lotz's point, if a team struggles, you want to try to reward them and build up parity. You struggle, you get the best pick. That's the way it should work, no?
Yeah, and I think that the team with the lowest amount of points should have the best chance to draft first, because I guarantee you Steve Yzerman is not saying, no, we're going to lose as much as possible. I guarantee you there very few general managers say it. There's a point in the year where it's like, all right, we got 15 games left. It might help. Yeah. But you start every season out to win every game, and there's not a player out there. Trust me, I played in Toronto. We were a bad team. We weren't good, but there is not a guy in that room that didn't give it every day to try to win every single game. And because, you know why? Because if you're thinking, yeah, that's great, let's help the team out and get the first-round pick, guess what? You come in after the draft. You come in after the draft, and his name is over your stall, and you're like, where's my name tag? Oh, yeah, sorry, you're not with us anymore. It doesn't happen. So whatever we can do to increase the chances for the lowest team in the standings after the regular season to get the first pick, I'm all in for.
There's strategy in managing teams, and some people don't want to hear that, but there just is. There's times when you're either moving forward or backwards. Very rarely are you staying even. So what does that mean? It means at times that, we were in Tampa, we picked 2nd. Okay? It wasn't our time. The team had picked 1st the year before. They got Steven Stamkos, and you get Victor Hedman. And now we're talking about the best team in the National Hockey League. What a surprise.
Yeah.
And that happened over and over again. You could look at the Pittsburgh Penguins and say the same thing. Yeah. You could look at the Chicago Blackhawks.
That
was a real strategy. It is acceptable within the rules. Contrary to what people think, as a general manager, I can say this 100% truthfully, you don't sit there and say, how can we make our team worse?
Yeah.
It just does not work that way. It is so painful to lose. You have to go through it to understand that. Yes, the rewards are high, and yes, sometimes that's what your best course of action is. But I'm not a big proponent that there's a ton of tanking. I think this really fairly articulates what should be the rules of the National Hockey League. I think they're great changes.
Yeah. Everyone's playing for pride. There's no question about that.